We've all lived this cycle. Day one starts with high energy. You wake up early, absolutely determined to change your daily routine. But by day three, the weather is a little colder, work was exhausting the night before, and the friction of continuing that new routine becomes entirely overwhelming. The problem lies in how we frame our ambitions. Setting a goal, like losing 10 pounds, gives you a destination. What it completely fails to provide is a map. It offers zero instructions on how to navigate the inevitable exhaustion, stress, and busy mornings standing between you and that finish line. Relying on how you feel is a losing strategy. Motivation is an emotion, meaning it is guaranteed to fluctuate. To make actual progress, you have to replace that fragile emotion with a system, a mechanical, repeatable engine that runs entirely independent of your mood. We are often taught to admire raw, blind exertion. But pouring maximum effort into a poorly designed routine is just exhausting yourself. Hard work only yields returns when it's channeled through a smart strategy. Success isn't achieved by sprinting as hard as you can toward a distant dream. It comes from engineering a highly localized daily track, one that practically forces you to move forward, step by step, even on the days you really don't want to. You can see the danger of pure exertion in almost any professional environment. Imagine a salesperson struggling to hit their quota. The instinct is usually to push through the exhaustion and dial the phone twice as many times. Look at this data comparison chart mapping out that sales strategy. Making 150 random, unscripted calls relies entirely on volume and luck, yielding a flat, abysmal conversion rate. But executing 30 structured conversations, contacting highly targeted leads with a proven script and follow-up plan, requires a fraction of the energy while driving a far higher return. You apply this same targeted efficiency to your daily life through micro-habits. Instead of planning an agonizing 2-hour workout, you scale the action down so drastically, like drinking a single glass of water on waking, that it demands absolutely zero motivation to execute. This growth curve demonstrates how these tiny actions accumulate over a year. They seem completely invisible in the first few weeks, but over months, they behave exactly like financial interest. Reading 10 minutes a day compounds into 6 books a year. 15 minutes of practice accumulates into a highly hireable skill. A reliable system doesn't rely on brute force. It relies on predictability. The momentum builds through the sheer volume of these small actions, making long-term progress a natural byproduct of your daily schedule. Getting those actions to repeat naturally requires a starting mechanism. You cannot drop a new habit into your daily schedule and expect it to survive in a vacuum. It needs a clear catalyst to spark the action. That catalyst is a trigger. A trigger is a specific, established cue already embedded in your environment that signals your brain to execute the new behavior. Instead of hoping you'll feel inspired to meditate at some random point in the afternoon, you anchor it. You explicitly attach 5 minutes of meditation to the exact moment you finish brewing your morning cup of tea. The tea becomes the starting gun. You can engineer these cues in 3 specific ways. Location-based triggers, like silencing your phone the second you walk through the office door. Time-based cues, like opening a book exactly at 10 p.m. Or event-based signals, like writing your daily checklist right after you hang up your towel. Willpower is a finite resource. By assigning the initiation of your habit to an external, physical trigger, you completely remove the psychological friction of deciding to start. Even with clear triggers, a system built on perfect timing will shatter under real-world stress. If your morning routine relies on absolute precision, sleeping past your alarm by just 15 minutes creates a domino effect that ruins the entire schedule. To survive the chaos of an average week, your routine needs mechanical shock absorbers, buffer time, and minimum versions. If you missed your 30-minute workout window, pivoting to a 10-minute stretch ensures the structural integrity of the habit remains intact. The real danger isn't a shortened workout, it's the 0 day. Doing absolutely nothing creates a gap that invites a toxic cycle of guilt. Executing the minimum version prevents that downward spiral and keeps the chain unbroken. This flowchart illustrates the transition to autopilot. When a flexible routine is consistently triggered over several weeks, the system begins to execute on its own, completely bypassing your conscious input and eliminating decision fatigue. And when life inevitably forces the chain to break, say a weekend trip disrupts your sleep schedule, you apply the no-guilt rule. You treat the lapse exactly as it is, a temporary mechanical pause, not a personal failing. True resilience isn't measured by an impossibly flawless streak. It is the result of engineering a system with enough inherent elasticity to absorb a hit, adapt, and recover its rhythm, without you overthinking it. When you step back and look at this timeline over the span of months or years, the effects of an autopilot system compound into something far more significant than a completed checklist. The mechanics of the routine quietly trigger an internal shift. After enough repetitions, your language changes. You stop telling people, "I'm trying to read more," and you start stating a simple fact: "I am a reader." This system-driven identity eventually becomes obvious to everyone around you. Your repeated actions accumulate to the point where your environment recognizes the transformation, cementing a behavioral tactic into a permanent personality trait. Setting a strict goal might force a temporary change in your external results. But committing to a continuous, self-correcting system re-engineers who you are as a person. The choice is clear. Stop chasing the ghost of motivation. Choose instead to build a daily, flexible system, one that has the resilience to withstand reality and the power to build your new identity.